boys and girls. It is time for math. And if you've looked in your packet already, you'll see that we are learning about quarters today. We've already learned about pennies, nickels, and dimes. And today we're going to learn about quarters. So first, I'm going to read us a quarter book, and then we will talk more about the quarters. Are you ready? Quarters are coins, and coins are kind of money made out of metal. We have already learned about that. And quarters are made of nickel and copper. So the picture shows nickel and copper, two kinds of metals. George Washington is on the front of the quarter. He was the first president of the United States of America. And you know that. We've learned all about George Washington. And he is on the quarter. Some quarters have a bald eagle on their backs. The bald eagle stands for strength. There are also quarters that honor each state in the United States of America. These quarters have different pictures on their backs. So if you guys get some quarters at home, maybe get a few together and compare what they look like on the back, you'll see different states. Many people like to collect these state quarters. And this is a picture of the United States, and you can put the quarter for each state into that map. A quarter is worth 25 pennies, because you remember pennies are worth 1 cent. So if you have 25 of them, it's equal to 1 quarter. And 4 quarters make $1. And quarters can be used to buy things from machines, and people use quarters to pay for many things. The end. Okay, so quarters. We've all seen quarters. You might even have quarters in front of you, and so I'll show you some of the things that we had talked about. So I have a pile of 25 pennies, so you can look at 25 pennies and see how much easier it is to have a quarter than 25 pennies. See, I have 25 pennies in my hand. That is a whole handful of change, but if I have 1 quarter, it's equal to the same. Now, if I could also take some of the other coins that we learned about, like nickels. How many nickels equal 1 quarter? Well, if you count by 5s with nickels, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 nickels equal 1 quarter. So is it still easier to carry 1 quarter than 5 nickels? Yes, it is. And you can also use dimes. If you have 2 dimes that are worth 10 cents and 1 nickel, that is worth a quarter also. Let's count those. Remember how much are dimes worth? 10 cents, right? 10, 20, and then plus a nickel because that's 5. 25. That's 3 coins. That's a little bit easier, isn't it? So there's lots of ways to make 25 cents like a quarter. And our quarter, if we have 1 quarter, it's 25 cents. If we have 2 quarters, it's 50 cents. If we have 3 quarters, it's 75 cents. And 4 quarters is $1, which means 100 cents. And I don't think you'd want to carry around 100 pennies, would you? No, you can have 4 quarters. You can have $1 because 4 quarters is the same as $1. And I'll give you a little example. Because 1 quarter, we've talked about fractions before. Remember we talked about wholes and halves one day? Those are fractions because they're pieces of a whole. If we have 1 whole, like if we pretended that like this was worth $1 whole, and we were to divide it up into 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 quarter is equal to 1/4. 1 part of the 4 parts that make a whole. So I'm going to show you. I have an apple here. It's a fake apple, but 1 whole apple divided up into 4 pieces. And each piece, because it's divided into 4, is called a fourth. So here is my whole apple, and if we pretended that each of these apple pieces were worth 25 cents or a quarter, if we took 1 out, that is 1/4 of our apple. 1/4. And 1/4 is 1/4 of $1. If I took out 2 pieces, this would be half of my apple. If it was 2 quarters, it would be half of $1 or 50 cents. 3 pieces of our apple is 3/4, 3 of our 4 pieces. And if it was quarters, it would be 75 cents. And then if we had 4 pieces, it would be 1 whole, and that would be 1 whole dollar. Does that make sense? It's a lot of new things to think about, but our 4 quarters equal $1. 1/4, and if we had, so 1/4 would be 1/4. See, there's our quarter. And if we have 2 quarters, that is 1/2, and 1/2 looks like this. We learned about 1/2. And then, if we colored 1, 2, 3, let's do these in order. 1/4 is 1 piece. 2/4 is 2 pieces. That almost means a half. And 3 pieces means 3/4. 1, 2, 3 of the 4 pieces. And if we had all of them, we would have 4/4, and that just means 1 whole. So that is how our quarters work. And let's talk about our worksheet. Okay, so our worksheet, it says at the top, the quarter. The quarter is called 25 cents. And it shows 3 ways. It shows with the cent sign, written out, or the whole word without the numbers. George Washington was our first president, and he is on the front of the quarter. Trace the word below. So you can trace the word quarter and quarter. And then we can count the quarters. So if we have 1 quarter, how much do we say quarter is worth? 25 cents. So you're going to write 25 cents on the line. And the cent sign, they already wrote that for you. But remember, that means cents. If it was $1, it would look like this. If we had $1, it would look like that. But we're doing cents. So 1 quarter is 25 cents. And this is the dollar sign. So cents and dollars. 3 quarters. What did we say 3 quarters equals? 1, 2, 3 quarters. 25, 50, 75. 3 quarters is worth 75 cents. And how do we write 75? That's a big number for us. A 7 and a 5. And then our last question, it shows 2 quarters. And what did we just say 2 quarters is worth? 25, and 25 more is 50. 50 cents. Okay, 25 cents. 3 quarters is 75 cents. 2 quarters is 50 cents. And we can color our quarters right here. And remember how we did with our pennies, our nickels, and our dimes? You can take a quarter and you can make a rubbing with it on your paper. You put your coin under the paper and color over it, and then you can see the design of the quarter come through. And let's do the back now. And the quarter that I have, it has the state of Georgia on it. It doesn't have the eagle, it just has a state. And there's the back of my quarter. All right. Okay, boys and girls, have fun with your quarters, and I can't wait to see the rubbings of your quarters.